Hi, Nicole. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. I just actually flew back in from Atlanta, so a little jet lag.
Oh,
It's all good.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you so very much for being here. And you see, I am excited to have you on the show. And I want to thank you for two things, okay? And I do this so often to all of my guests because I feel like it is important. So, firstly, Nicole, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. You
Okay.
see, you are you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Nicole, some months back, alright, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside there is this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves weren't green, and it just looked all dry. So I just walked past it. But you see, just recently, Nicole, I was on that same road, and this time around something changed. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and instantly rather, I got the urge to, move closer and have a good look. And when I got closer, Nicole, I was wow. Because this time around the mango tree is looking all beautiful. It's got a lot of mangoes on it and beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes. You see, I was excited, it was a beautiful moment that day. The point is, the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me, you got the message from me to be on the show. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself, Nicole. And now here we are, myself and the audience, we're about to benefit from the fruit of your knowledge. Okay. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. So thank you so very much. I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. You see, Nicole, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. You see, I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Nicole, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. Not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Nicole, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge, and darkness means ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Nicole on the show is for the sake of the listeners. Nicole, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality information. And you see, I am totally convinced, Nicole, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We're just so curious right now. We want to know how you got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Nicole, over to you.
Okay. So how did I get here? I actually am a mother of two. I'm married. I have two college graduates. I actually started this journey because my daughter initially wanted to go to college. She was a junior. She was determined to want to go to a specific school, which was a HBCU, which stands for Historical Black College and Universities. And she applied, she got in. I was super excited. She was super excited. But what comes next after getting in, that's just the first hurdle. It's can you afford it, right? So I remember being on the train coming from downtown Chicago, and she reached out to me and she called me and she was like, "Oh my God, I got the award letter." I'm like, "Yes, okay." So I got home. She opened up the award letter, and the award letter said the balance remaining is $45,000 a year. I'm a middle class mother I do not have $45,000 a year. That's like 200,000 if she graduated 4 years, right? And so I knew I couldn't afford it at that time. So I didn't want to tell her that. So I suggested to her, can you look at, add more schools to your application request? Let's diversify your portfolio. So she went ahead and she applied. She got into another school. It was another school that she wanted to go to. We received the award letter. After that, it was still too expensive, but it was less than the other one. So I'm like, I did not want to let her down. So I was determined to figure out what alternative ways can we find funding. We've already did scholarships. They've already gave us merit scholarships. We did the private, scholarships. So what else can I do? So I started reaching out. I think he went offline.
Still with you. Go on, go on.
Oh, okay. I started reaching out and to the school and asking of alternative ways of getting additional funding. After that, I realized just because they give you an amount on the award letter, the balance, it does not mean that's the end of the story. You can appeal. There's other ways of finding additional savings. So after that journey, we end up sending her to the school. Right behind her, I have a son who's 3 years younger. Did the same process for him. So as my kids start going through college, I start sharing my knowledge with other people on how to find additional funding outside of just scholarships. And that's what birthed Hidden College Funds. I have friends that were constantly, when I would give them advice, they're like, oh, you should write a book. You should talk about it. You should tell people. And I'm like, no, some of this is real, like common sense to me. No, I'm not going to share that. But after so many years, I decided, you know what? Let me put it out there and share with other people. And that's how I got to this point.
Amazing. You see, and that just proved the statement, knowledge is light and there is solution to every problem. Oh,
Yes.
man. And now you see, the part that got me was when you mentioned that after years you then decided to write a book. And now we're going to be talking about that book, all right? Because I believe that's a very good thing to do. Putting the solution into a paper or into paper that it may spread and others may benefit from it. Because
Yes.
there are still a lot of people who might not be aware that they have the right to appeal, just like you mentioned. And for that reason, their kids are stuck and. So let us talk about how you came up with the title. It's very, very easy to understand. So can you talk to us about that? And how long did it take for you to publish it? And what are some maybe challenges you faced? Or just share some story with us about it. Yeah.
How did I come up with it? Because in that book, there's some things that aren't traditional that I use. They're very non-traditional strategies. And so I know it's not something that colleges always want you to know. So I start trying to figure out what title can I use. Should I say secrets? But they're not really secrets because they're there, but they're hidden, right? So that's how I came up with the title Hidden College Funds. It's non-traditional funding that colleges don't want us to know about. And as far as your question of how did that process work? So that process was interesting. One, it went really smooth in writing the book. But what I learned is it was after I wrote the book is where I started like having all these little bumps in the road as far as the transition of how to market it, I initially thought I can edit the book myself. I did not truly even understand the value of an editor. I know that may not sound the best, but I failed at it. So I did have to hire someone to edit. I did have to hire someone to proofread it. And once I found people to do that, everything else went smoothly.
I got it. Like delegating the work. Okay. That's a brilliant.
Yeah.
I get that. Okay, let us talk about the misconception. All right. What are some of the biggest misconceptions parents have about college funding? Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. One of the misconceptions is when you get the award letter and you see that balance due, that number is negotiable. People think that's the all be all, but it's negotiable. Colleges need freshmen. That's their pipeline to their success, right? And so really freshman year is the golden ticket. If you can get those negotiations in freshman year, that's the golden ticket. However, I don't want to discount upper class as well. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors can negotiate and use these same tactics too. But I just wanted to emphasize to especially new parents, first generation parents, that that number you see, that is negotiable. You can compete. You can, the same way you go out there and purchase a car or a house and you look at different homes and you're comparing the advantages and disadvantages, you can do the same thing with the school. You can show them two award letters and say, "Hey, I went to this school and they gave me this amount and this is the amount that you gave me. I really like your school, but this one here, they're giving me more money." And guess what? A lot of the times they'll negotiate.
I got that, and that's a great tactic. That's a beautiful one. Okay, we have two more questions to go. So, what are some creative ways families can save for college that goes beyond the traditional five?
Yeah. So if you're at a point where you did not have the privilege of saving prior to your kid going to school, everyone don't start at age 2, right? That's not Everyone don't start when their kid is born. Everyone can't start when their kid is born. So let's talk about what can you do now. And one way is when your kid is in school, you want to find ways of saving, right? So one of the ways is, what does your kids' room and board looks like? Are they in a suite? Are they in a single? Let's drop those down. Let's put you in a room where there's two people. Trying to reduce your room and board is one way of cutting significant savings. Another one may be have your student become a resident of that state to reduce the tuition rate. You have A lot of schools have, if you actually if you apply and become a employee of the school or a part-time employee, you can get tuition waived. Not tuition, I'm sorry. You can get your room and board waived. So that's something like a resident assistant where you work on the floor and they'll waive the room and board. So those are some ways.
Got that, got that. Okay, let us travel all the way into your book, alright? So let's look at the first chapter of your book. What is the title of the first chapter and what is it about? What does that first chapter covers?
Yeah, so it's nothing fancy. The chapter is it's an introduction, and what it does is take you through the journey of how did I get here, which I mentioned briefly about being a parent, telling you about my background. I actually went to college. I actually worked in the financial aid office as an undergrad. Had no idea I would use some of those tools with my own children. Didn't even understand some of the things I was learning as I was a student in undergrad, and taking that and utilizing that as well through my kids' college experience. So it talks about my background. It talks about my journey with my children and the disappointments that I felt were a disappointment when I could not give my daughter that opportunity, and what I did to learn from it.
And what you did to learn from it. Powerful. That's a powerful one. Okay, while you were talking earlier, you gave us a very great tactics concerning negotiation. So for parents who say, actually, Nicole, I think I suck at negotiating stuff and I really do not know how to go about it best. And at times, if we cannot negotiate properly, we might lose the thing or not get full benefit of the thing. So, what are some more tips that you can give about negotiation or, to make folks understand more about the power of negotiation.
Yes,
Do you get that?
excellent. Excellent question. In the book, I actually provide 5 negotiating templates for different scenarios. I literally wrote this out and showed you what to use, what to put in it. You can even copy and paste my templates in the book. If those scenarios don't work for you, I created a workbook where it provides 30 different templates to use for negotiating. And it gives you 30 different scenarios that I've known to be used so that you can get additional funding. And that those workbook you can actually find on my website.
Okay, beautiful, awesome. I love that. So, finally, okay, one more question out of curiosity, all right?
Mhm.
So, why do you think the college funds are hidden? I just can't wrap my head around it. Do you get that?
That's a great question. I think it helps create the gap, the economic gap. I think it's purposely I think it's purposely created so that there's always a gap between the haves and the have-nots.
So, finally, what would you like to leave the audience with, Nicole? And for those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've said, or even make a purchase of your book, how can that be possible?
Yes, I would say what I would leave with parents is not even parents, but students, right? Because sometimes the parents aren't there to really help the kid, and the student has to be their own advocate. What I would leave is no does not mean no. One thing about me, I love higher education. I love everything about it. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can email me. You can out my phone number is on my website. If you have questions, you can reach out. I'm on Instagram on the Go Journeys. I'm sorry, that's my other business. You can go on Instagram under Hidden College Funds, reach out to me, DM me. And, if you have any questions, I'm here.
Yeah. Nicole is here. Thank you. So that's going to be the end of the show. Thank you for coming, and thank you for blessing our ears and opening our eyes and minds to this amazing stuff. You see, I never knew this before, but
Really?
now I am educated. I tell you, it sounds foreign to me. I tell you, so I really appreciate you sharing this stuff with us, and I'll have to listen to our conversation again and again. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Elijah.